15 years back, my boy lost his life in a tragic crash. I gazed at him lying in the coffin, touched his chilled flesh, and sprinkled soil over his burial site. Yet just last night around 3:27 a.m., my mobile buzzed to life. His name lit up the display, and upon picking up, his bewildered tone echoed through, whispering, "Mom, where are we? It's pitch black here." How does a heart manage to pulse on after catching the words of the one you laid to rest? Hold on before I go further. Make sure you're following the channel and drop a comment below on where you're tuning in from. It's amazing to see how wide our tales are spreading. I'm Alar Vance, and for those 15 years, I've carried an emptiness in my soul where my spirit once thrived. My child Zion was just 17 when the motorcycle accident claimed him. Some intoxicated motorist blew through a stop signal during a stormy evening and smashed right into him. That instant, my legs gave way as the call came in at 11:42 p.m. from the medical center. Mrs. Ara Vance, parent of Zion Vance. That one inquiry carried every dread I wished to avoid. Folks often mention a parental intuition that signals disaster striking your offspring. In that split second, prior to the physician wrapping up his words, I sensed it all. It felt like some unseen bond forever linking me to Zion had snapped without warning. The wake passed in a haze. I recall perching next to the open box, tears locked inside, fixated on my kid's features. He appeared at rest, save for the ashen hue of his complexion and the thick cosmetics masking the marks. I lingered through the evening, stroking his frozen fingers, vainly wishing they'd grip mine like they used to in his younger days when he sought safety. Out at the burial ground, I placed a pristine rose atop the container as it descended below. The thud of earth against the lid marked when truth crashed over me like an unstoppable force. My son was gone. His laughter would never ring out again, nor would I sense his embrace. Graduation, a wedding, grandkids, none of it would come to pass. What lingered from those 17 vibrant years, just snapshots, garments holding his aroma, and recollections destined to dim over time. Zion's dad couldn't bear the weight. Half a year post-service, Darius sought separation. He claimed seeing me stirred memories of the boy we'd buried. Perhaps he spoke true. I struggled to meet his eyes, too, without noting the void between us. Our 2-decade union dissolved with ink on stark documents, yet another loss stacked onto my pile of heartaches. As Darius forged ahead, tying the knot anew and starting fresh with more kids, I remained stuck in that plot. Zion's bedroom stayed pristine, a timeless shrine. His outfits hung in the wardrobe, scuffed shoes by the mattress, volumes arranged on racks and tables, alongside the algebra assignment left incomplete. Discarding any item proved impossible. Each piece clutched a fragment of his essence I couldn't bear to release. Come every Sunday, I made the pilgrimage to his plot bearing new blooms. I'd polish the marker, yank invasive plants, and chat with him like he might respond. I'd share the mundane happenings, daily trifles, global updates. Occasionally, I'd carry a novel and recite passages, recalling how he cherished my bedtime stories. Time to let go, others urged, as if erasing the life that bloomed within me was straightforward, as if sorrow had an expiration. I experimented with counseling, peer circles, mood pills. None mended the scar. I simply adapted to sharing space with the ache, treating it like a shadow that never departed. Over those 15 years, I maintained Zion's phone line, footing the charges monthly to dial it now and then for his youthful recording. "Yo, this is Zion. Drop a note and I'll hit you back. Appreciate it." That brief clip served as a gateway to a realm where he endured, his timbre still echoing. Call it insanity if you will, but it sustained him in my world. Life progressed for everyone else. His pals finished school, wed, built families. The planet spun onward, sans Zion. I persisted in inhaling, teaching tiny tots at preschool, hovering in a haze midway between living and perishing. Vitality eluded me. I merely persisted by habit. tallying moments till reunion with my child. Then came that fateful Wednesday, August 14th, precisely 15 years post-collision. At 3:27 a.m., my phone shattered my fitful slumber. Amid the room's shadows, the device's light revealed an impossible label. Zion. Wait, not Zion. Ignore call, as I'd labeled it long before, for those self-dials to catch the greeting. Now it read simply, Zion, like the entry had reverted to its first form. My pulse raced wildly, thumping like a trapped beast against my bones. Fingers trembled fiercely, nearly fumbling the device. This defied reality. Surely a nightmare, a malfunction, some digital error. Or perhaps my grip on reason had finally slipped. After all those years haunted by the shadow of grief, it finally left me for good. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing endlessly. 5, 6 times. By the 7th, a dam broke inside me. I picked up and held on for what felt like ages. All that came through was labored, uncertain breaths from someone alive. "Hello," I murmured, my words barely escaping. Nothing but quiet. Then, "Mom." It was his voice. No doubt about it. That familiar pitch, the slight stretch on Mom. "Mom, where am I? It's pitch black here." My breath caught, stuck in my chest. The walls of the room closed in like a vice. This wasn't real. Zion. It was the only word I could force out as shivers racked my frame. Yeah, it's me. No clue where I ended up. Can't make out a thing. Freezing cold. What went wrong? With unsteady hands, I flicked on the bedside light, hoping the glow might chase away the insanity. Thoughts raced wildly through my head. Maybe a sick prank, someone who'd hacked his line, or my brain playing tricks from pills and exhaustion. But that timbre, I'd know it blindfolded. "Zion, is this truly you?" I choked out, hot tears tracing my cheeks. "How? How on earth?" "No idea, Mom." He sounded far off, bewildered. I recall the wreck, the downpour, headlights barreling toward me, then oblivion, pure black. Now I'm stuck somewhere, but no sense of where. Sightless. Feels like I'm confined. A gasp tore from me. I leaped to my feet, staggering around the space, clutching the device as if it anchored me to sanity. "Zion, you passed away 15 years back. I laid you to rest, dead air on his side, a hush so thick it pressed against me. No, Mom, dead. I'm right here chatting with you. I'm aware, sensing things, just immobile. Pressure everywhere, squeezing. Ice trickled down my back, squeezed like a coffin. Oh God, premature declaration at the hospital. Tales of live burials flooded my thoughts in waves of dread, yet it defied reason. I viewed him there, felt his chilled flesh. He went into the ground 15 years ago. Survival after that. Unthinkable. "Tell me your exact spot," I said, forcing calm into my tone. "Any details on your surroundings." Zero visibility, total blackout, wood against me, flat and unyielding beneath. Odd scent like earth and rot. Mom, terrified, doesn't cover it. My pulse turned to sludge. He was painting a picture of a coffin. Awareness after 15 years. How? Easy now, my boy. The phrase slipped out on autopilot. Parental drive drowning the terror. "I'll get you out. Just guide me to your location." Lost on that. Only the smash then stirring in this place. "Mom, how much time passed, you said?" 15 years. "Zion." My words cracked. "The crash took you in 2010. His breath sped up, dissolving into ragged cries. "Impossible. No way." Still 17. 15 years vanished. I gripped the bureau to steady myself. Absurd beyond belief, but unfolding before me. My boy's voice, gone from this world, echoed clear as day, just like in life. "Zion, I'll track you down, promise. I'll figure it out." Doubt gnawed at my own vow, yet his raw fear pushed me to swear the stars. "Don't disconnect. Begging you, stay on. Batteries fading, Mom." Urgency laced every syllable. Lights blinking low. Can't face the dark solo. Hold on, Zion. How are you even reaching me? Phone from where? Logic clawed for footing amid the chaos. tucked in my jeans, that ancient mobile. Baffling it powers up, but display warns it's nearly spent. His relic phone, the one interred with him per his 16-year-old testament during that morbid fixation on death. Back then, chalked up to teen angst, but honored nonetheless. Zion, hear me out. I wrestled my jumbled mind into shape. Recall Cypress Grove Memorial Park Stone Mountain, east section by the massive oak. If you're in the box, that's your spot. Graveyard. His tone quavered. So I am gone. Unsure anymore, kid. No grasp on this nightmare, but heading over now. Mom, powers dropping. Voice frayed, afraid, save me. Zion, Zion, stay strong. On my way. I yelled into the void, met only by the disconnected tone, line dead or juice gone. Shaking, I dialed back, futile. Robotic voice claimed the line non-existent, erasing those frantic moments. No pause for sense or denial. I shrugged on a coat over nightclothes, snatched keys, bolted to the car. Around 4 a.m., I tore through empty streets like a fiend. I sped through the bustling avenues of Atlanta, ignoring traffic signals, my pulse thundering like it might burst from my chest. The burial ground would surely be locked up tight at this late hour, but I had a connection with the overnight guard, Mr. Silas. Through countless Sunday afternoons there, we'd built a quiet bond. He'd often allow me extra moments beyond closing time whenever I got lost in conversation at Zion's resting place. I pulled up carelessly near the gates and dashed toward the security post. Mr. Silas dozed in his seat, but jolted awake from my urgent knocks against the window. "Mrs. Zara, what's wrong? It's barely 4 a.m. Let me inside, Silas, right away. This is about my boy." He stared at me like I'd gone insane, and perhaps I had. "But Miss Zara, this sounds wild." I cut him off. "I have to reach his plot immediately, please." Something in my wild-eyed plea must have swayed him. He gave a quick nod, snatched a ring of keys and a torch. "I'll accompany you. Wandering solo in the night isn't wise." No chance to express gratitude. I was already bolting along the familiar gravel trail, lit faintly by the fading moonlight. Mr. Silas trailed close, huffing as he struggled to match my desperate stride. A decade and a half of routine pilgrimages had etched the route perfectly in my mind. Despite the pitch black, I navigated effortlessly. Veer left by the Almeida tomb, turn right at the winged figure, trace the row of cypresses to the ancient oak. And there, under the timeless branches, stood the polished stone marker bearing his name, Zion Eduardo Vance, 1993-2010. Cherished child, eternally cherished. I dropped to my knees before the sight, the ground tilting beneath me. What had I hoped to discover? What drove me here? A voice from the other side didn't imply I could unearth him breathing. 15 years buried. That's an eternity. Even supposing an error, even if he'd been interred while still alive. A chilling notion that iced my spine. No one endures that sealed in the earth. "Miss Zara." Mr. Silas drew near, worry creasing his face. "You okay?" I stayed silent, gaze locked on the undisturbed soil above the plot, solid and undisturbed, blanketed in the tidy sod I'd sown myself long ago. No traces of upheaval, no hint that anything had clawed its way out. "He reached out to me, Silas," I whispered, eyes glued to the mound. "Zion spoke to me not even 30 minutes back." The guard rested a palm on my arm, tone soft. "Mara, it was just a bad dream. Grief plays tricks like that after losing someone dear." "No dream," I yelled, shrugging off his touch. I was wide awake. I picked up the call. It was him, his voice. My nails tore at the turf, fingers scrabbling to burrow into the soil with nothing but desperation. Utter folly, I realized. Tombs plunged nearly 6 feet down. No way I'd breach the coffin barehanded. Yet logic fled the instant his words echoed through the receiver. "Miss Mara, stop!" Mr. Silas urged, clasping my arms to halt the futile struggle. "You'll injure yourself. This isn't right." And then I shattered. sobs racking me as I streaked mud across my cheeks from grimy palms. He said it's pitch black, said he's stuck. He's terrified, Silas. I wept without restraint. How do I abandon him there? Tell me how. The guard lifted me gently, steadying my quaking form. I'll drive you back. You're shaken badly. Dawn will bring clarity. But deep down, I knew dawn changed nothing. That phone call had fractured my world forever. If unearthing him myself proved impossible, I'd seek another path to unravel the mystery. His cell, I muttered as Mr. Silas led me from the grounds. It went down with him in the box. How does it power on after all this time? How's it charged? How's the coverage from below? He offered no reply, likely assuming delirium had gripped me. And who could blame him? Perhaps isolation and sorrow had eroded my last threads of reason, weaving illusions where Zion might still reach across the void. I motored back in a haze, stare pinned to the shadowed highway. Mr. Silas tailed in his vehicle, ensuring I made it indoors secure. I assured him I'd attempt sleep, summon the physician at first light, gentle deceptions to ease a kind soul's concern. The door clicked shut, and I flew to the landline, dialing Zion's line once more. Silence. That same notice. Subscriber unknown. Again and again, 10, 20 tries, yielding identical failure. Perched in the dim kitchen, I quivered, piecing together my racing mind. Aid was essential. Someone to trust my tale or feign faith until I decoded the truth. Darius, Zion's dad. He'd grasp it best, bound by our mutual devotion despite the fractured marriage. The clock glowed 5:12 a.m., far too soon for a sane ring. This was no longer an ordinary moment. I punched in his number, the one I'd memorized even after so many years had passed. 4 rings later, his drowsy tone came through. "Alara, is that you?" "Something's off, Darius." My words shook as I spoke. "I have to share this with you. It might seem insane, but hear me out." I laid it all out. The incoming call, Zion's familiar voice, the device inside the coffin, my frantic rush to the graveyard. I braced for him to cut in, dismiss me as unhinged, or push for therapy. Yet Darius stayed quiet, his breaths coming in heavy bursts over the connection. Once I'd wrapped up, a heavy pause stretched out. "Do you trust what I'm saying?" I whispered at last, feeling fragile and unsure. "I'm not sure what to make of it, Ara." His reply carried an odd calm. "But I get that you'd never invent something like this, especially not involving Zion. I could use your support. I have to figure out what's going on." "What's your plan?" "Dig up the grave." The idea slipped out before I could stop it. "I just need certainty, Darius. I have to witness whatever's buried there." Another stretch of quiet, then. "You realize that's nearly out of reach, don't you? We'd require a judge's approval. It'll drag on for weeks, and after 15 years, there might not be anything left to uncover." "I get it, but I have to give it a shot. If there's even a remote possibility of some error, I'll head over within the hour," he responded, catching me off guard. "We'll discuss it face to face." I ended the call and lingered in the dim kitchen, frozen, struggling to absorb the bizarre events of that unearthly morning. A piece of me longed to chalk it up to a nightmare, as if I'd dozed off on the sofa and my imagination had pulled a vicious prank. Deep inside, though, I recognized the truth. That ring had happened. It was Zion's timbre. My boy was reaching out to me from some limbo beyond the grave. Darius showed up in under 60 minutes. His hair, streaked with silver, stood in disarray, shadows etched deep beneath his eyes. As I swung the door wide, I faced the man who'd been my spouse for 2 decades, aged now with sharper creases across his features. Still, those eyes, Zion's eyes, passed down from his dad, gazed back with the same intensity. "You appear wrecked," he noted, aiming for levity to ease the strain. "Neither of us is at our peak," I shot back, ushering him inside. We settled into the lounge, the quiet between us thick and loaded. It had been ages since we'd sat this way, just the two of us, no barriers. Our occasional post-divorce encounters stuck to neutral spots, usually with his fresh family in tow. "Run through it all once more," he urged, hunching ahead, arms braced on his thighs. I recounted the tale anew, weaving in bits I'd overlooked earlier, the precise pitch of Zion's words, his labored gasps, the pitch-black confinement he described. "That phone," Darius broke in. "You mentioned it was with him in the coffin." "Right, recall that. It was listed in his last wishes." He inclined his head thoughtfully. I recall that odd spell when he jotted down his end-of-life preferences. None of us foresaw him passing so soon. An old Nokia, yeah, one of the tough-as-nails models. "Exactly," I confirmed, picturing the blue gadget Zion cherished. "Even so, Darius, after 15 years in the Earth, the power source couldn't hold out, and reception from that depth. It defies logic." "Agreed," he conceded. Unless what? Unless the signal isn't truly from the tomb." Darius rose, pacing the room with agitation. "Ara, have you pondered if it's something different? A hoax, perhaps, from someone aware of the phone interred with him?" I denied it fiercely, shaking my head. "No way, Darius, that was him. No mimic could nail it so perfectly, and who'd stoop to such malice?" He raked fingers through his silvered locks, a move so like Zion's it stabbed at my heart. "So, you're proposing our kid dialed you up from the coffin 15 years on." He halted, weighing his next words. "Ara, face it. Explore other angles. Perhaps you could benefit from some guidance." "You mean you think I'm losing it?" It came out as a statement, not a query. "That's not what I meant." "Bah." He dropped back into the chair, clasping my hands in a closeness we'd long abandoned. "What I'm getting at is how loss warps the psyche in weird ways. Zion's passing. It never left you. You never truly let go." I withdrew, shifting away. "And how exactly did you let go with your ideal spouse and flawless family?" "That's low, Ara." His tone sharpened. "I mourned our boy as much as you. The pain hit me hard. I simply coped in my own way." I shut my eyes, forcing composure. Clashing with Darius wouldn't yield clarity, and truthfully, his point landed. The narrative was ridiculous, implausible. A sensible mind would question it. "I'll ring him once more," I declared, snatching the device right there before him. "Watch." I tapped out Zion's digits again, switching to speaker mode. The robotic voice blared clearly. The line was fuzzy and clear all at once. "The number you've reached isn't valid." "See?" Darius murmured softly. "Arr!" Suddenly, the phone in my grip began to buzz, cutting him off. Zion's name lit up the display once more. "It's him!" I yelled, nearly flinging the gadget away. "Can you believe this? Can you see it?" Darius's complexion drained of color. He could see it plainly, no way to brush it aside. My fingers shaking, I picked up the call and switched it to speaker mode. "Zion," I said, my words faltering. "Mom?" His tone came through faint and broken, like the signal was spotty. "Mom, I finally got the battery topped up a touch. There's a light appearing now." Darius clapped a hand over his lips, his eyes bulging in disbelief. He caught the exact same words I did. "Zion," I said more forcefully, "your father's right here beside me. We're on speaker. Dad." He sounded sharper suddenly. "Dad, is that really you?" Darius gulped down emotion, moisture gathering in his gaze. "Yeah, kid, it's your old man. What's going on with me? Why do they claim I'm gone? I recall the crash, but after that, it's all foggy." I glanced at Darius at a loss for words. How could you possibly tell someone they'd been lifeless for 15 years? "Zion." Darius stepped in, his throat tight. "You mentioned a light now. What exactly are you noticing?" "There's this kind of torch here." It was tucked in my coat pocket next to the phone. No clue why it's still operational, but I can make out a few things. I'm in some sort of wooden container. It's cramped. Hardly room to shift. Ice coursed through my bloodstream. He was detailing the coffin. "Anything more around you?" Darius inquired, squeezing my fingers hard. "There's a white fabric piece, and I'm dressed in—" "Hold on, these aren't my outfits. It's a formal jacket. Never owned anything like it." The burial attire. The outfit we'd selected for his interment. Darius and I shared a glance filled with dread. Zion. My tone quivered. "Give the cover a shove. Check if it'll budge." We picked up noises of effort, grunts of strain. No luck. Too solid. Feels like weight pressing down. Soil, perhaps. Darius snatched the phone from me, drawing it nearer. "Zion, pay attention. We have to figure this out. How much time have you been aware in there?" "Not sure." He sounded irritated. "Feels like emerging from a drawn-out, muddled slumber. Bits of my past come back. School days, buddies, you two. But plenty's indistinct. Like I'd been out cold for ages. And the crash. What sticks in your mind? Rain pouring down. Heading home from Jada's, the bicycle skidded on that bend. Headlamps rushed toward me at top speed, then agony, intense agony, and blackout till I stirred in this pitch black. The account lined up perfectly with what we'd learned from the incident. The official records, the eyewitness accounts. "Zion," I said, reclaiming the device. "What's the latest date in your head?" "March 10th, 2010. It was a Wednesday. Physics exam that day. The following morning, Darius and I met eyes once more. March 10th, 2010, the crash date, precisely 15 years back. And do you recall? I paused, unsure how to phrase it. Do you recall passing away? Quiet from his side, only ragged breaths. I'm not certain. He whispered it faintly. The hurt floods back now. Then a sensation of drifting, like something drawing me skyward. Dazzling glows, unfamiliar murmurs, and blackout again till I came to hear. Mom, Dad, am I truly deceased? How do you respond to that? How do you inform your child that yes, he perished, was grieved over, honored in vigil, and laid to rest? Zion. Darius jumped in again, relieving me of the burden. This is beyond bizarre. We'll dig into it. Can you keep the line open with us? What's left on the battery? Around 30%, I guess. Baffling that it's holding up after... How long was it? 15 years, I answered, my speech breaking. It's 2025 now, son. Oh man, he appeared to grapple with the revelation. Guess that makes me 32 today. Wild to wrap my head around. Seems like high school wrapped up just yesterday. For him, it genuinely had. The clock halted right at the collision that ended him. 15 years vanished in an instant. Zion, Darius continued, shifting to a no-nonsense approach. We've got to confirm everything, get a grip on this mess. You mentioned the flashlight. Mind scanning the area. Check for other items in the coffin. I'll give it a shot. We caught muffled shifts, limited by the tight confines. Got some wilted blooms, a string of prayer beads, and a sealed note. A note. I queried, caught off guard. What sort? Seems like correspondence. My name's on it. That's your script, Mom. The note. It had slipped my mind entirely. The evening prior to the service, I'd penned a goodbye message to Zion and requested it go inside the coffin. One last note to my boy, phrases I never voiced in his lifetime, able to tear it open. I wondered, the raw, aching words from that grief-stricken night resurfacing. Sure, pulling it apart now. My beloved Zion, he started reciting, if some realm exists past this life, be aware you're absorbing these lines right now, sensing every bit of the affection your mother holds for you. He kept on with the reading, each phrase slicing into my soul like a dagger. Those sentences, penned 15 years back during a night of excruciating agony, now resurfacing through the tone of the boy they were meant for. And someday, when my end arrives, we'll reunite. In the meantime, I'll cherish you and long for you with each inhale. Always your mom. His tone broke as he wrapped up the passage. You composed this for me. Indeed, I affirmed, with tears flowing unchecked across my cheeks. the evening prior to your burial. So, it really happened. Zion's words came out sounding broken. I'm truly gone, interred. Yet how am I aware? How am I conversing with you? That puzzle haunted every one of us, a mystery without resolution. I have no clue, my boy, Darius answered, wrapping an arm around my shoulders in a shielding move that caught me off guard. But we'll unravel it. I swear we won't abandon you in this limbo. The power's fading once more, Zion announced, his pitch laced with panic. I've got just 10% left. It'll shut down any minute. Zion, hold on, I urged hastily. We're aiming to uncover what's occurring. We'll discover a method to assist you. Simply stay strong. It's all right. We're present. We'll locate you no matter what. I'm frightened, Mom, he murmured, reverting to the child who dashed to my side amid thunderclaps. I'm terrified of isolation in the void once the charge depletes. I'm afraid you might not reach me. We'll track you down, I vowed, despite lacking any notion of fulfilling it. Just endure. Conserve the energy. Contact only for essentials. All right. Sure. He conceded, his timbre faint. Dad, Mom, I adore you both. We adore you too, kid, we echoed together, echoing those bygone evenings when he'd snuggle in as we settled him for sleep. The connection dropped suddenly. The device's display returned to its routine state, as though no marvel had transpired. Yet the moisture in Darius's gaze proved he'd witnessed it as well. Not imagination, not delusion. In some manner, our child was reaching out from the other side. What's our next move? I inquired, brushing away my tears with my sleeves reverse. Darius rose, striding across the space, his engineer's logical mind evidently racing at full speed. We must proceed systematically, start with the certainties. What can we confirm? Zion passed 15 years past. We laid him to rest. Somehow he's sentient and reached us via call. And the implications. Darius massaged his features, appearing abruptly aged. He can't possibly survive in the coffin after 15 years. I get that. I trembled, considering the ramifications. Then what? Spectre. Uneasy spirit. Lingering awareness. Darius had long been our doubter, a facts-driven scientist trusting solely the tangible. Witnessing him entertain otherworldly ideas now revealed the call's deep impact. I'm uncertain, but certain we require aid. He snatched his device, calling Kai. Kai Lewis, Darius's longtime college companion, a coroner specializing in autopsies at the local facility, precisely the expert for the empirical side. You sure bringing others in is wise? I probed anxiously. What if he deems us unhinged? Kai trusts my judgment enough to realize I'd never fabricate this. Darius was punching in the number. We lack the technical insight alone, plus we'll require permits to unearth the remains. The term exhumation twisted my gut, envisioning excavating Zion confronting what's remained after 15 years proved harrowing. You truly believe we ought to, I whispered, voice hushed. Darius met my eyes with a gravity unseen in ages. If it were you, caught in that in-between realm, wouldn't you crave our utmost efforts to free you? He spoke truth. If opportunity existed to aid our boy, we had to seize it, regardless of the dread it stirred. Kai departed soon thereafter, vowing to kick off the exhumation approval right away. Darius opted to remain, claiming the sofa in our sitting area. Odd to host him again in this home we'd shared through countless years, where we'd nurtured our child, the very place he'd fled when sorrow overwhelmed. Darkness descended, carrying a thicker, weightier gloom than ordinary. Sleep eluded us both. We lingered in the lounge, him reclined on the settee, me curled in the easy chair. The quiet weighed thickly upon us, interrupted now and then by an owl's distant call or the rustle of foliage in the breeze beyond. You still preserve his belongings, right? Darius inquired abruptly, eyeing the corridor toward Zion's quarters. Yeah, I confessed. Haven't altered a thing. He dipped his head, free of reproach. Mind if I look? I led him along the passage to the chamber that the room had sat frozen in time for a full 15 years. I eased the door open with caution, almost as though I feared disturbing a sleeping presence. A musty odor of neglect and halted moments washed over us. The drapes hung closed, but I flicked on the lamp, exposing the haven I'd crafted for my boy. His bed remained neatly tucked under that cherished Batman comforter, childish for a teen of 17 yet irreplaceable. Textbooks stacked haphazardly on the desk, a half-done algebra problem sprawled across the notebook, posters of favorite rock groups plastering the walls, scuffed trainers tucked by the bedside, and his guitar lurking in the corner, shrouded in a layer of dust, muted by the years. Darius lingered at the threshold, absorbing the scene. I noticed his fingers quiver just a bit. "You said I rushed ahead too fast," he murmured gently. "Perhaps you were correct. But perhaps it's simply that I couldn't face this. I couldn't safeguard the recollections the way you managed." He moved deliberately across the space, caressing each item with quiet respect. He paused before the display of awards, swimming meets, chess tournaments, science fairs. Zion had been an exceptional kid, marked for remarkable achievements, his promising path cut short just as it was unfolding. "Check this out." Darius lifted a slim black journal from a partially ajar drawer in the desk. His diary. My pulse quickened. I'd never mustered the nerve to peek inside. "I haven't either," he admitted. He cradled it like a treasured relic. "Perhaps we ought to now. Maybe it holds clues to make sense of things." We settled onto Zion's mattress close together, the diary resting between us. With unsteady hands, Darius flipped to the initial entry. "January 10th, 2010, he recited softly. That nightmare struck again. The crash one, feeling so vivid. I jolted awake, drenched in chills. In it, I'm cycling through the downpour. Headlights loom nearer. I sense the collision. Then I'm hovering overhead, gazing at my mangled form sprawled on the pavement. It's horrifying, yet oddly serene somehow. We traded uneasy looks. The vision lined up precisely with the wreck that claimed him 2 months on. A chill crept along my back. Darius pressed on, leafing through with care. The pages captured the routine of an ordinary youth, tests, buddies, the crush he harbored, spats with us. Yet woven in were darker threads, recurring in multiple spots, visions of his demise, the identical sequence each time, that detached vantage of witnessing from afar. "March 1st, 2010, Darius intoned, his tone weighted. Only 10 days prior to the crash, the vision sharpened. This round, I witnessed the service. Mom weeping beside my coffin, Dad forcing composure, yet crumbling alone when he believed no eyes were on him. My pals huddled awkwardly, words failing them. It's so sharp that I'm questioning if these are mere sleep visions or something more. Forebodings, alerts, fear grips me, but curiosity too." My breath caught. Zion had envisioned his passing, his burial rite, well in advance of the reality. "He sensed it," I whispered, dazed. In some way, he grasped what lay ahead. Darius reached the final page, dated March 10th, 2010, the fatal day. Today feels like the moment. I can't explain my certainty, but it's there. The previous night's vision lingered so intensely, the jolt still echoes in me. Metal ripping flesh, fractures snapping. Terror should consume me, but oddly it doesn't. It seems fated, unavoidable. Should anything befall me today, tell Mom and Dad my love for them surpasses all, and assure them this isn't the finish. I'll discover a path to return, a means to signal that I'm fine, merely transformed. P.S. If my hunch holds, entomb my phone alongside me. It may seem odd, but I sense it'll prove useful. The diary slipped from Darius's grasp. The ensuing quiet hung thick, brimming with unfathomable suggestions. "He knew," I echoed, my words barely a breath. Those weren't simple reveries. He glimpsed what was coming and understood that one day he'd reach out to us. The phone. Darius breathed. He wanted it interred because he foresaw employing it to connect. Clarity started to crystallize in our thoughts, foggy yet sharpening. Zion had anticipated his end, readied himself, and now, after 15 years, he was honoring his vow to bridge back to us. As though attuned to our realization, my phone buzzed to life. Zion's contact glowed on the display. We picked up in unison, Darius huddling near to hear. "Zion," I uttered, heart thundering. "Mom, Dad." His tone rang altered, steadier, more resolute. "You're in my space, aren't you? You've just closed my diary." Shock rooted me in place. How could you tell?" "I'm watching you," he replied evenly. "Can't quite put it into words. Feels like I'm split. Still lost in the void, yet able to watch, just like those visions from my old dreams." Darius grabbed the phone, his eyes bulging in disbelief. "Zion, are you telling me you can actually see us at this moment?" "That's right. Mom's got on that blue top I gifted her for Mother's Day ages ago, and you're clutching my trophy from the state swim meet. It checked out completely. Darius had only just pulled the trophy off the shelf while we were talking. No chance Zion could have guessed that without really watching us." "My goodness," Darius muttered under his breath. "This is downright frightening." "I get it," Zion went on. "It's scary for me as well. I'm figuring out how to manage it. At the start, everything was pitch black, but these days it's as if I can send my mind out there, catching glimpses and sounds. Do you spot anyone else apart from us?" I inquired, struggling to wrap my head around this unbelievable power. "Absolutely. I can make out Kai down at the station, buried in paperwork. You're handling the exhumation, right?" A chill raced through me. How on earth did he know about Kai? Or the exhumation? "Zion, what exactly is going on with you?" Darius demanded, his tone shaky. "Are you gone? Still hanging on? What's the deal?" A brief silence hung before he responded. "I'm not totally certain. My physical form is right here, but it's not functioning like a regular body. It's kept intact in some way, frozen in time, while my awareness drifts elsewhere, scattered across multiple spots simultaneously. This defies all logic," Darius grumbled, the logical engineer in him clashing with the eerie proof unfolding. "Plenty of things seem impossible right up until they occur," Zion countered. "Mom used to tell us that all the time." "Yeah," I recalled. It was one of my go-to lines back when Zion was a kid and declared something out of reach. "Kiddo," I pressed, attempting to piece it together. "Why reach out after all this time? Why hold off for 15 years? I never intended to delay." His tone carried a hint of astonishment. It felt to me like emerging from a deep slumber. I had no clue that much time had slipped by. Now that I'm alert, though, I sense time differently. I witness what I've missed. I see the pain you've all endured, and I sense that perhaps I can make my way back. Back. Darius and I echoed together. "What are you getting at?" "I'm not entirely clear," Zion confessed, "but I do know you have to unearth the grave. You need to free me from it. There's a task that must be handled, something I can't put into words just yet. It's more like a gut feeling." Darius and I exchanged glances, a blend of terror and optimism washing over us. The notion of Zion coming back in any form was every bit as unbelievable as it was miraculous. "We're on it, buddy," Darius promised him. "Kai's sorting the documents for the exhumation, though it could drag on for days, possibly a full week. That's not soon enough," Zion's voice shot back. "It's critical. The link is intensifying, but it's fleeting. I sense a narrow opening. If we let it pass, I might lose the chance to come back." "How long do we get?" I demanded, panic building. 3 days, or even shorter. Tough to describe, but it's like an ebb and flow, a cycle. I'm riding the high point currently, yet it'll fade before long. Darius rose with resolve. "I'll reach out to Kai. We'll push to fast-track everything. If the approval doesn't come through promptly," he trailed off. But I caught his drift. We'd resort to any means required, above board or otherwise. "One more thing," Zion added, his delivery turning grave. I'm not by myself in this place. There are more like me, souls caught in the in-between. Some wander lost and afraid, others simmer with rage. Not all harbor pure motives. Another chill hit me. What are you implying? Certain ones aim to re-enter for twisted purposes, revenge, fixation, dominance. If any of them crack the code to return the way I'm attempting, it could spell trouble. Darius summed up, his expression darkening. Extremely so, Zion agreed. I'm working to keep them at bay, to seal off the road, but it's wearing me down. I can't say how long I'll hold out. The weight of it sank in, horrifying in its clarity. Our boy wasn't merely seeking a path home to us. He was acting as a sentinel of sorts, blocking malevolent entities from breaking free. What can we do to assist? I urged, resolve overtaking the dread. Simply extract me from there, he urged. Once we're together again in some fashion, I can tackle the remainder. The line began to glitch. Zion's words crackled with interference. Signals fading, powers running low. Zion. I yelled into the receiver. Hang in there. We're on our way to you. I trust you are. His words dwindled to a murmur. I love you too more than anything. Then nothing. The connection severed. Darius was already dialing Kai, his words rapid and insistent as he laid out the urgency to hasten things. I observed him, a fresh determination stirring inside. Should red tape slow us down, we'd handle it ourselves. The following 24 hours blurred into a frantic battle with the clock. Kai pulled every string he had at the morgue and within the force to rush the permit. Darius rallied former associates from his job, a few boasting ties to officials. I remained at the house, phone glued to my side in case Zion rang again, volume cranked to max. No further calls came that day or the following one. The worry mounted with each ticking hour. The tension mounted. Kai reassured us that the permit would arrive in under 48 hours, a swift turnaround for government red tape. But Zion's caution lingered in our minds, suggesting it might still come too late. Come the dawn of day 3, Darius and Kai showed up bearing updates. The paperwork clears this afternoon, Kai said, his features drawn from exhaustion. They've set the disinterment for first thing tomorrow. We can't wait that long, I countered, recalling Zion's urgent words. He warned no more than 3 days, and this is it. The two men shared a loaded glance. We've got a backup option, Darius murmured, his voice low as if the walls had ears. It's off the books, but the groundskeeper, Kai added, a fellow named Mr. Silas, he's consented to sneak us in after dark. He'll supply the gear. We'll handle it all on the down low. But then, I pressed, supposing we pry open the coffin, what next? We can't simply grab whatever's inside. One thing at a time, Darius responded. Priority is peeking at the contents, figuring out Zion's talk of a comeback. The hours dragged on in pent-up nerves as we geared up for the evening ahead. Kai supplied everyone with black outfits, torches, and implements. Darius rigged the vehicle with forged papers, just in case cops pulled us over. I stashed snacks, drinks, and covers, driven more by parental hunch than reason. At 10 p.m., the site had locked up an hour prior. We motored over wordlessly, each immersed in private worries. Mr. Silas met us at the rear entrance, his expression stern yet resolute. Everything's set, he whispered. Gear stashed by the plot. Folks steer clear this late, but speed and stealth are key. Nightfall transformed the burial ground into an eerie realm. Phantoms danced amid the tombstones, the hush pierced only by a sporadic owl cry or wind-whipped foliage. We trailed Mr. Silas down secondary routes, shunning the central paths where the moon's gleam could spotlight us. Zion's resting spot under the massive oak loomed expectantly. Nearby, concealed in foliage, sat a compact hydraulic digger, suited for tight quarters jobs. I lifted it from the upkeep team's stock. Mr. Silas clarified, "It'll shave off ages of digging by hand." Kai and Darius dove right in, maneuvering the compact device with caution to dampen the racket. The earth atop Zion's plot had hardened over 15 years, yet the tool sliced through effortlessly. I kept watch, scanning for stirrings, attuned to any unnatural noise in the gloom. My mobile sat dormant in my pocket, primed for any fresh outreach from Zion. Roughly an hour in, the digger clanged against something firm. That thud of metal on timber sent my pulse racing. "The box," Darius hissed softly. "Time for manual effort now." The trio seized hand spades and delicately brushed away the soil encasing the coffin, outlining its shape. I edged nearer, drawn inexorably to the pivotal instant. The container appeared intact, shielded by the arid ground. "Solid build," Mr. Silas noted under his breath. "Pressure-treated lumber, watertight seal. That's the secret to its condition." Once they'd scraped back sufficient earth to bear the full top, Darius and Kai flanked it. "Set," Darius queried, eyeing us all. I dipped my head, words failing me. Kai inhaled sharply, bracing for the unknown. Mr. Silas traced a cross on his chest. The pair heaved up the lid in unison. The aroma that wafted out wasn't rot as we'd dreaded, but an odd, clinical tang. A gentle azure glow spilled forth, casting an otherworldly sheen on the men's astonished visages. I wedged through to peer in. No warning could have braced me for the vision within. Zion lay there, his form flawlessly intact, as though interred mere hours ago. Zero decay, zero trace of the decade and a half gone by. His countenance rested in peaceful slumber. He was clad in that familiar somber attire from the service, palms folded across his torso, nestled underneath, pulsing with that peculiar azure radiance, rested his vintage mobile. "Lord above," Kai breathed, his analytical mind reeling at the defiance of reality. "This defies belief. Just skeletons should remain." Darius extended a quivering arm, grazing our boy's cheek. "He's got warmth. Not the chill of death, not the heat of life, merely temperate." The scene defied all reason, all empirical bounds, leaving us frozen in disbelief. It felt like chronology had frozen within that enclosure, holding Zion pristine from his burial day. Gradually, I stepped up and caressed his features. The flesh felt taut, supple, akin to the quick, yet no heartbeat stirred, no breath rose, only that uncanny in-between warmth, betwixt vitality and demise. The device, I observed, it shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The truth hit us like a revelation. That compact blue Nokia, cradled in his grasp, cast an ethereal radiance that bathed the casket's interior. As I reached out to make contact, the display ignited without prompting, revealing urgent words. "Free me from this place. Bring me back home. Time is short." We wasted no time. With Darius and Kai enlisting Mr. Silas's aid, they gingerly extracted Zion's form from the coffin. His weight felt unnaturally reduced, suggesting parts of his physical essence had swapped for something airier, more intangible. As a group, we enfolded Zion in the cover I'd packed along, then transported him to the vehicle. The mobile in his grip kept radiating, now throbbing like a vital organ, its beat quickening while we sped from the burial ground. Silence enveloped the ride. What words could capture an event so utterly defying reason? We chose to head to my home, the one where he'd spend his childhood, his final residence. It simply felt appropriate. Kai and Mr. Silas assisted in bearing him indoors, settling him softly onto his familiar mattress in the chamber, frozen in time for 15 years. In all my professional years, I've encountered nothing remotely similar, Kai uttered softly, still scrutinizing Zion's still figure. No standard life indicators appeared, yet neither had the stiffness of death set in, nor any decay begun. He existed in some altered phase, beyond the ordinary. Zion's phone flickered once more, unveiling fresh instructions. H2O, rays from the sun, tunes. We exchanged puzzled glances until insight struck me. He's guiding us on his requirements. I hurried to fetch a cup of water and held it to his mouth. Astonishingly, the fluid seemed to seep in, despite no visible swallow. I drew back the drapes, letting the dawn's beams wash over his features. Darius located the vintage receiver on the bedside table and switched it to a channel broadcasting symphonies, the genre Zion cherished most. The device pulsed anew. Gratitude. Rest is essential now. Tomorrow. Kai and Mr. Silas departed soon thereafter, vowing to reappear at first light and pledging discretion about the extraordinary sight. Darius and I stayed put in Zion's space, flanking the bed, observing our child in this limbo, not fully departed nor truly present. "What's next?" I breathed, clasping Zion's unresponsive yet oddly heated palm. Darius merely shook his head. "No idea. This is uncharted ground." Yet he'd implored us to return him here, and we obliged. Trust must follow. The night passed in quiet watchfulness. Eventually, exhaustion claimed me in the seat by his side. My vision featured Zion, not the youth we'd mourned, but a grown figure as destiny might have shaped him. There, he grinned and murmured, "The moment approaches, Mother. Hold on just a bit more." Dawn broke with an odd vibration permeating the air. Darius stirred too, scanning the space in bewilderment. The origin lay with Zion's mobile, blazing fiercely now, its azure sheen thumping faster and faster. Gradually, scarcely noticeable initially, Zion's form started to shift. The ashen complexion warmed with hues. Stiff digits twitched faintly. Eyelids sealed for 15 years quivered, evoking profound slumber. "Darius," I hissed, seizing his arm, "change is underway." The buzz swelled to a piercing crescendo. The phone's brilliance swelled outward, sheathing Zion in a luminous sheath. Dread gripped me for an instant, fearing dissolution right before us. But awareness dawned. Evolution was at play. The youthful visage eased, features refining with maturity. Beneath the burial attire, his frame expanded, acquiring substance and stature. 15 years compressed into mere moments unfolded before us. Existence resuming its path, hastened. Abruptly, the process halted. The drone faded. The glow withdrew into the handset, extinguishing entirely. Daylight from the ascending orb reclaimed the room. Zion's lids parted. Gone were the gaze of a 17-year-old. In its place, the steady eyes of a 32-year-old, his current span. His countenance had evolved, ripened, yet bore his signature essence. Mother. His timbre had deepened, echoing with authority. Father. We collapsed into his hold, sobs unchecked. Unthinkable. Divine intervention. Our boy reborn from oblivion, not spectral or undead, but vital and complete, bearing the marks of the 15 absent years as if fully endured. How? Darius managed, cupping Zion's cheeks, searching with wide, stunned eyes. Zion's grin matured, etched with subtle creases around his eyes absent in youth. Complex doesn't begin to cover it. Even I grasp only fragments. Over there, chronology bends, unlike our straight path, he elaborated. I experienced countless existences. I gained wisdom. I matured. Once I discovered a path home, that I could come back under the proper circumstances. He glanced at the smartphone, now unremarkable, and every day in his grip. That was the bridge, the tie that anchored me to this reality. And you served as the signal that drew me home. But how could this happen? I questioned, struggling to accept the wonder unfolding right there. Your science lacks terms for it so far, Zion answered softly. Perhaps parallel realities or shifted awareness levels. The key point is, I'm present. I made it back, not precisely the same as before, but he examined his own palms, now bigger, more robust, marked by faint marks and rough spots that hadn't existed previously. This form mirrors the trials I endured over there, the development, the insights, like I'd spent those 15 years in some other realm. Darius, always practical, was pondering the consequences right away. How do we account for this? On paper, you're deceased. You're off the grid entirely. Zion grinned once more. We'll sort it out eventually. Kai's got our back. Perhaps a tale of mix-up in identity. Memory loss along that line. The vital part is my return. His expression turned solemn abruptly. Yet I'm not alone in discovering the root. More are attempting to trace it. Just as I cautioned, some harbor ill motives. What steps can we take? I inquired, resolve overtaking the dread. For the moment, none. I sealed the gateway as securely as possible when I left, but we must stay alert. He peered through the glass at the landscape beyond, a place unchanged for 15 years in his eyes. Countless shifts have occurred. I've got plenty to catch up on in this existence once more. Over the ensuing days, we observed in awe as Zion adapted to daily routines. His physique functioned flawlessly, though occasionally he appeared awkward, like reacquainting himself with limbs idle for ages. His intellect remained keen, soaking up details at a remarkable pace, adjusting to the tech advancements and societal shifts from the past 15 years. Kai managed the paperwork, crafting a detailed narrative of identity confusion and extended forgetfulness. It wasn't flawless, but leveraging his network and some discreet alterations, he secured a fresh persona for Zion, not as a revival from the grave, but as an individual who'd never fully vanished. For my part, I shifted from mourning parent to guardian of a grown child overnight. It felt odd, bewildering, and magical. Zion wasn't the youth I'd mourned anymore, but a multifaceted adult bearing insights and abilities beyond standard learning. At times I'd catch him staring into the distance with a far-off look, as though perceiving realms beyond our grasp. In such instances, I understood that a piece of him lingered, linked to that other domain, the enigmatic space where his mind had dwelled for 15 years. One night on the veranda beneath the night sky, I wondered aloud if he longed for it. At times, he confessed, it held a serene quality there, free from bodily constraints, unbound by sequential time, yet missing a core element. Which? I pressed. He beamed, that familiar yet fresh grin, the essence of human bonds, the splendor of life amid its flaws and trials. It's meaningful to remain, aware that someday departure will come again. I clasped his hand, broader, tougher, and rougher than the one of the child I laid to rest, yet undeniably still my boy's. When that moment arrives, I'll prepare to release you, I vowed. This round, I'll understand it's not an eternal farewell. Zion inclined his head, his gaze holding the insight of one who'd traversed realms. It's never an eternal farewell, Mom. Just until next time. 15 years back, I laid my son to rest. I made pilgrimages to his resting place every Sunday without fail. I preserved his space as a tribute to his legacy. Then, on a routine evening, my device buzzed with a summons from the unknown. Now he rests nearby. Not the child I grieved, but the adult forged in another sphere of being. Death, I've come to see, doesn't conclude the tale. Often it launches a fresh, remarkable odyssey. Enjoy the tale. And from which town are you tuning in? Share in the discussion below. If the story resonated, show support with super thanks to fuel more narratives like this. Grateful for your kind backing, eager for your thoughts on it. Check the display for 2 fresh tales I endorse strongly. My channel holds even more. Hit subscribe, won't you? Catch you for the upcoming tale, warmly and respectfully.